Welcome back, one and all, to CubeCon coverage. This is Saturday, the sixth draft, the last one before the top 64 tomorrow morning. I'm Joseph Parnell, joined by Dave McDarby, the creator of the Live the Dream Cube. Or should I say half of the creator, because we have the other one in seat one, and we watched David White draft a five-color monstrosity. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's correct. So Dave is playing the Chromatic Creation because he has both Chromatic Lantern and Chromatic Orrery in his deck.
Okay, so that's two chromatics.
It is correct. That's all the chromatics in the cube.
So 100% of the chromatics.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now you might be asking, well, one's a 3-mana ramp spell and one's a 7-mana ramp spell. What would bridge the gap between 3 and 7? If your answer is 5, Golos Tireless Pilgrim, you'd be correct because that is also in David's deck.
Yeah, the first pick.
P1.
Yeah.
That's correct. So now David White is trying to play the other creator of the cube, by the way, the Live the Dream Cube made by us Davids.
Yeah.
He knew how to draft the cube, picking mana ramp spells and fixing.
And we have a strong start from both players on a mold of 5.
Correct. So Daniel is playing Jund Podwalkers. That means he has both Birthing Pod and a hefty amount of Planeswalkers in his pool.
Yeah, and the Planeswalkers are both hefty in their amount and hefty in their ability to affect the game, because there are some bangers. We have
Minsk and Boo, Timeless Heroes.
And they're going to be tireless, because I'm sure they're going to do a lot of heavy lifting.
That's true. We've got Domri, Anarch of Bolos, Garrick Cursed Huntsman, Garrick Wildspeaker, Liliana Dreadhorde General, and probably more.
And Nissa Vast Woodseer, some of the time.
Some of the time. Just wait till turn 7, hopefully. Yeah. So it looks like both players are mulliganing to 5. So it's still evenly matched.
It is.
Yep.
And you know what? We're going to go the distance with this game. There's not going to be anyone jumping out of the gate. Both short on cards, but we're not short on time, because there's going to be a lot of Magic to be played for the rest of this draft.
One of the best things about Live the Dream Cube is you get to play so much Magic in the drafts.
You do. That is the true dream, is to play as much Magic as possible.
Correct.
Daniel Reeves on the play here, and starts off with a Rockfall Veil to match. David has an Underground Sea untapped, and excellent mana for both decks right out the gate.
Yep. So in this cube, turn 1 basically doesn't exist. Turn 2 is this cube's turn 1. So Daniel's turn 1 play, in theory, is a Bloom Tinder, and David answers with a signet of his own.
And both very, very critical, because you don't want to be the person that misses your 2-mana ramp if your opponent has it.
Correct. Daniel Reeves plays Braids Cabal Minion on turn 3. So I don't have a lot of land destruction in this cube, like I was explaining earlier. However, Braids does kill lands.
Hey, that's up to David.
That's true.
That's up to David White. David chose for Braids to be land destruction. Could have been artifact destruction.
Yep. David convinced me actually to put Braids in the cube. I was afraid because it's land destruction, because I don't want crews blown up. However, Braids doesn't target the crew, so you can sacrifice.
Yeah.
And Black really needs some help fighting the blue-red spells decks. So I don't like mass hand discard or what have you like that, and you can't be aggressive. So Braids lets you sacrifice, permanents. So that's why she's in here.
And David reminding Daniel, hey, this is a symmetrical effect. You have to do it too.
Not just me. It's not just a one-sided abyss for your permanents. See what David pitches? Probably not the Bonner's Ornament. I'd say a mountain. Yes. Yeah. I might think of a Selesnya Signet, so it's like harder to
turn
get
it
destroyed.
Off the Selesnya Signet? That's a little bit scary.
Yep. David needs a 4-mana play here really strongly, or a removal spell.
Maybe both. If there's a Binding of the Old
Gods.
Binding of the Old Gods. Called it.
Victory. Okay, so we've passed the first checkpoint.
Yes.
D. White has avoided land getting, not having lands in play. And not only does he's avoided that, he's doing the opposite. Yeah. We'll put more lands into play. So we're past step 1. No easy, quick victories here. And Daniel has cycled a Zeotor's Proving Ground, which is proving to us that he's a little heavy on lands.
Which we would imagine, as there was no play with on turn 3 with a Bloom Tinder. David, of course, going up to 2 and going to get probably a dual land that produces both. I'm going to say it's going to be a Triome, the Zagontha Triome.
Yeah, Zagoth Triome is what I'd imagine.
And there it is.
Here we are.
Yep.
Wow, look at that. So D White still only has 4 mana, but he has 4 colors of it right now, and with that Zagoth, he'd be able to have 5. No, he would not.
Not quite 5 yet, but we are in prime Golos territory for next turn, which is exactly where David White wants to be.
Yep. So if D White has a spell right here, that would be really useful.
Daniel looking to set a record for number of sequential attacks with Bloom Tender.
It can brawl. So we have another Signet, which is perfect. All he wants mana, and Gigantha is now in the hand, even more mana.
And that's excellent. I honestly really love to see Gigantha as a companion here. Bitter Blossom, powerful card, but
on turn 5,
not quite when you want it to be cast. Would have been a hell of a turn with
turn 2
with Rage still on the battlefield.
I believe that was Daniel's intention.
Yeah, probably so.
So David White passes with 6 mana up. He did not play the Gigantha in his hand. What could this mean?
I don't think we've gone. We have not gone yet.
Oh, we haven't gone yet.
I think it was a because I only noticed because that Binding of the Old Gods was still around.
Sure, but now all David White's creatures have Death Touch for this turn.
That is true. Very important. So we know we have the Gigantha. So there is a play without a doubt, but instead we're going to play something much bigger. Oh, buddy. David White loves a Chromatic Orrery into Gigantha.
So now he has 2 colors of permanents in play. So D White can tap 5 mana to draw 2 cards right now. Who knows what it'll be later on?
Wow. What a steal.
This is
That's like most of the best parts of Muldrifter every turn.
Correct. Well, you can't attack for the win.
But most
parts, yeah. So Chromatic Orrery, tapping to cast Gigantha, some may say is the ideal live the dream play.
I was actually going to say, who is living their dream more? Well, the answer could be Daniel Reeves taking out the Orrery, much to the dismay of David White with Terra Sunder.
Yeah, so people always say Utter End is the black-white Terra Sunder. And I believe that to be correct.
They say that.
Yes, that's correct.
So Terra Sunder is excellent.
So Terra Sunder, actually, Daniel was holding on to that for a long time. Didn't blow up a rock because we're kind of past that point. We wanted a threat removal, and Chromatic Orrery was the #1 threat removal. And here we have Nissa Vastwood Seer. So Daniel's going to look for a forest, basic forest. No.
Planeswalker #1 coming up.
Oh, that's Primeval Titan. Excuse me. We are tightening.
Oh, okay.
Right now. So Primeval Titan can't get any creature lands. There aren't a lot of lands in the deck because the cube is so complicated and focused already on non-land permanents. I didn't want the lands to also be something you had to think about. Like, oh, do you have a Raisin Ravine? Oh, is that a Stirring Wildwood? It's just so much to think about.
Already a lot of mental load going on.
Yeah. So that's why there's no Field of the Dead or anything like that. So there aren't any weirdo, crazy activated ability lands you can get with Primeval Titan, but it still double ramps you, and you can use the mana in this cube more than probably any other cube.
Yes, you can always fill it up. And Daniel has seen all of his non-basic lands at this point.
All of them.
Yes.
Well, I hope he doesn't cast Rampant Growth, which is not in the cube, so it'd be really awkward.
There's a lot of basic lands.
Sure. Here we have Progenitor Mimic choosing probably one of the best creatures to get.
Primeval Titan, which is going to benefit David significantly more than Daniel. David not going to be going through all of his non-basics for a couple of turns.
Correct.
The choice is... Oh, we're going to get Azorius
Here we have Azorius Chancery, bouncing Zagoth Triome probably, so we can cycle it and draw more cards.
Yeah, I think that's the play.
Yeah, Triomes are so powerful. I, in fact, did that play multiple times this weekend. Bouncing a Triome.
Oh, I thought you meant bounce Zagoth Triome.
Oh, no, Progenitor Mimic on Primeval Titan, getting Azorius Chancery, bounces Zagoth Triome.
What a crazy scenario. I mean, happens all the time.
Yeah, math is weird. Oh, we're bouncing a basic land.
He wants those lands.
Next turn, he can play it untapped, so maybe he has a 16 mana spell to cast. It's a little dream cube.
Or Golos activate.
Golos activate in the same turn?
Yeah.
No, that's a dream.
That's a dream.
Only possible in the Dream Cube.
Love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And not just Zagatha not satisfied to just make mana, likely going to at some point come into combat when maybe there's not a 6/6 around to block it.
Perhaps. So now we're going to test David's resolve at if he can withhold blocking that Primeval Titan with his own Primeval Titan.
I think he's going to block.
You do? You're going to give up on the delicious, delicious value?
He got some value already.
Some.
I think he'll block.
Some.
I think he'll block.
Some is not all.
It's not. There's a lot more value to be had. Well, I can't tell you what I would do. I don't know if he's going to block or not, but I am absolutely sure if I was Daniel, I'd test it.
Okay, well, I think Daniel's going to open up with the Garrick Wildspeaker and just threaten an ultimate with all his creatures.
I like that.
Garrick
Speaker
makes threats, generates mana, and has a game-winning ultimate.
Pretty amazing for the first ever
batch.
Green Planeswalker. Yeah,
Yes.
they really knocked that group out of the park.
Garrick Wildspeaker, I think, is one of the most perfect Planeswalkers ever made.
I would agree with
it costs double mana color, so you can just splash it.
Yep.
Like, it's wonderful.
It is. It's exceptional. All right, and we are
Make a
now
Primeval
going
Titan?
to see another Primeval Titan. Makes that forthcoming overrun a little bit worse as we put 6/6 on the battlefield.
So yeah, we have to figure out who's making more power and toughness: the Bitter Blossom with the Garrick, or the Progenitor Mimic Primeval Titan.
It's the Progenitor Mimic with the Primeval Titan. I did the math.
Oh wow, you're very intelligent.
Yeah. Which is probably why I would have tried to push with my own Primeval Titan.
Mm-hmm. Well, David White now with that copy token foil, by the way, getting 2 dual lands into play. He's thinning his deck out, getting some thinning action on. People usually don't want to talk about the advantages of thinning with fetch lands, but when you're 2 a turn,
yeah,
it adds up.
When we are now at 4 lands out and a 5th one coming with that Verdant Catacombs, which will untap next turn, and we're going to be all gas all the time for David. And it's I also get to draw a card for my turn.
What, every turn?
Yeah.
What?
The best time to do it. Sometimes you have solitary confinement, so not every turn.
Yeah. A lot of people like to say their favorite step is the combat step. I'm the draw step. That's what makes the game great.
I like an upkeep myself.
You're a Paradox Hazer?
No, I just simple, man. Just one upkeep.
just one, please.
Yeah.
One for me. Here we have Vanishing Light.
Yeah.
The set was it third pick, Vegetable Vanishing Light?
It was a third pick, and it actually going to be a really critical piece of David's deck.
True.
Because this is going to be a unconditional removal, and appropriately going to say, I would like to threaten this Garrick, please.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, this is still Primeval Titan, and it has an attack trigger.
2 more lands, please.
And I'm going to get 2 of. I don't have many lands left, but I'm going to get 2 more and put them on the battlefield. Mr. David White.
So this is a good example of sort of an aggro deck versus a control deck. The control, quote unquote, control decks in this cube are rampy decks that go so OTT, which means over the top. You can't even begin to contest it once the ball has been rolling. Once you've had 4 Primeval Titan triggers.
Yeah, but the ramp deck doesn't seem to be doing anything. They've played a Bitter Blossom and a Gloom Tender.
Yeah. Well, maybe Birthing Pod can come down and steer them on the right course.
Yeah, I just see a lot of attacking from the aggro deck.
Sure. And we have Liliana Dreadhorde General. Unfortunately, David White has 3 creatures.
Yeah.
3.
And 2 really easy sacrifice options.
Yep. But maybe Daniel Reeves will be able to draw 2 cards off the Liliana, and one of them can be a 2-mana removal spell to destroy that 3rd creature, which is going to be the Progenitor Mimic Primeval Titan.
I would say that's going to be good for Daniel if that happens.
It's very pivotal.
But it's more likely that there's going to be a 3-mana removal spell, which is going to be 1 color short for Bloom Tender being able to cast it.
That's true, yes. So we'll draw 2 cards. Looks like another Garrick. Cursed Huntsman is around.
Yeah.
Fun fact about this cube, there are multiple Garricks in the cube. So Garrick Huntsman has a Secret Dream, which we may have talked about.
Yes. My mind was blown at that realization.
That's all I exist to do is blow
I
minds.
loved it. So, second Planeswalker in as many turns is going to be taken down by the Progenitor Mimic, acting as a Primeval Titan. David struggling to find lands in his deck.
That is yet another Secret Dream with Primeval Titan.
I ran out.
As no lands. With Mana Confluence, I believe would be the final land that a player would choose.
There could be one more that he was just like, I value just saving a couple extra seconds looking through my deck, but I would say on the attack, we will get the final 2 if they're not already out.
So thinning is probably all the way. We could also probably honestly just count the number of lands, but
I won't.
I won't.
Yeah. Let's see. He could have a land in his hand.
Yeah. Oh, I believe this is the Dragon Lord Atarka, the Lord of all Dragon Lords.
Now, able to clear up the entire board for Daniel, and Daniel's going to help do the rest and clear up everything, including his library, into game 2.
Correct. Yep. So did you know that it's a mull for 5 on both players?
That was, but it didn't feel like it for one of them.
It did not. So it turns out ramp decks need both lands, ram spells, and threats. But once you've got all 3, you're just playing a different game.
Yes, and that was clear. A reminder to everyone, including us in the booth, that was a turn 3 Braids Cabal minion from Daniel.
Yes.
Who ended up getting smashed in that game.
Yep, Binding the Old Gods, the pick that you championed during the draft, saved him from certain death.
I really think that it did.
Yep.
Yeah. Acting as a removal spell and a ram spell. That card is just incredible. It is really a exceptionally designed black-green card.
Yeah, see, the black part kills a creature, and the green part gives you lands.
And they both give Death Touch.
They both do. So that's where the magic really happens.
It really is.
So players sideboarding here, after game 1 of the final round for today at CubeCon, hosted in beautiful Madison, Wisconsin, with some wonderful folks. What do you think the players will be looking to put in their decks for their opponents' matchups?
Well, if I were Daniel, there is a Faithless Looting in my sideboard that, and I think it is possible that this has probably been forsaken as not a main deckable card. I think that it is, especially in this cube, because filtering is critically important. There's also a Mox Amber with a lot of Planeswalkers that is not being played by Daniel.
True, yeah. Mox Amber might be a way to just skip you from 4, say, to 5, or to 6 with, like, maybe Garrick. Garrick would ramp you anyway, but Mox Amber can sometimes steal you games.
Yeah, and there's a couple of other big hitters. There's a Yurlock also lurking in the sideboard.
Of Scorched Thrash fame?
Scorched Thrash fame.
Wow.
Yes.
Excellent. David White has a Pernicious Deed. So at last, Daniel's treachery will be over with, like, tokens.
But not all the Planeswalkers.
No. Pernicious Deed famously does not interact with Planeswalkers.
It does not. Daniel is really playing most of his green cards. What? Okay. This has to be a mistake. The paper that we have says Vorinclex Monstrous Raider is not in Daniel's main deck, and I don't think that's true.
So Vorinclex Monstrous Raider interacts quite favorably with Planeswalkers.
You'd call that a 2-card combination.
Yes. It not only doubles the counters that you would add to it when using a plus loyalty ability, it doubles the counters that they come in with. So Liliana Dreadhorde General, I believe, could immediately ultimate.
It could, and then subsequently win you the game.
Yes. Garrick Wildspeaker could immediately ultimate.
Yes, it can.
Minsc Cambu would be a little harder to kill.
It's true.
So watch out. Also, it attacks
Cursed Huntsman.
Yes.
Immediately ultimate.
What does that ultimate do?
Gives all of your creatures +3/+3 and trample to permanent overrun.
A permanent?
Yes.
You get an emblem?
You do get an emblem.
Wow, this guy commentates.
Yeah. I know Magic cards.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right, give me Oracle text on Ice Cauldron.
I know Magic cards that are in these cubes. If you find me an Ice Cauldron on the floor and show it to me from far away, I'll give it to you. I'll give you the Oracle text.
Okay.
But you can't do that because there's not one here.
Sadly, I'm busy commentating with my good friend Justin Parnell, so I just can't.
It's a shame for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a shame. I'm watching excellent cube action. So Ice Cauldron is a 4-mana artifact.
Get that out of here, Michael.
It's wonderful.
The text is so small. My face would have to get so close.
That won't help you, by the way.
That's true.
There's more text where that came from.
Oracle text, not printed text.
There's more text where that came from.
Birthing Pod.
Now, that's a good classic, easy card to get the Oracle text from.
It is. Mm-hmm. So we are obviously going to see Daniel on the play again. Did not help in game 1, despite having Braids on turn 3. Looks like both players are going to have more than 5 cards. Daniel on 7. I believe David might be on a multi 6.
It looks that way, and that's kind of what you have to do with this deck. So in normal magic meaning cards, decks with 1-mana creatures, mulliganing might be a death sentence because you mulligan to 6 or 5. Opponent has a quick start, game's over in turn 4. In this cube, you have time to breathe. So mulliganing is not nearly as bad as, say, missing a land drop.
Yeah, that's a death sentence.
Yep. So Daniel Reeves here is playing Elvish Mystic.
Good start.
It is one of the best starts in the cube. I say turn 1 Birds of Paradise is perhaps the best play in the cube, and that's a common thing for people to say. The best play is Birds of Paradise. It's still good after all these years. Land into Birds of Paradise has been good for almost 30 years. it's still just like it's still magic.
Yeah,
it's great.
And we are probably going to see a turn 2. Yeah.
Yep. So this is a turn 2 Nobles Purse, I believe. It comes in play with 3 counters on it.
You can remove 1 out of colorless mana.
To make a colorless mana, or it's the other one. It's obelisk. It's the obelisk. So it adds colorless mana. But if you're casting a multicolored spell, you get a color. So it promotes you to cast multicolored spells.
Obsidian Obelisk.
That's the one, Obelisk. So David White answered how with a Lotus Cobra. This is a creature. It's vulnerable removal, but with the fetch land, it ramps you 2 mana.
2 to 5.
2 to 5. That is a huge jump.
That is a big jump.
So fetch lands give you 3 mana, like a Black Lotus.
I'm a big fan of that. I'm also a big fan of Lotus Cobra in general. I really think that Dave, I would have gone out of my way. I would have snapped up pretty much every fetch land that I saw after having that Lotus Cobra. David has one. Maybe there's a second one. I think there's just the one.
I think there's just the one too.
Okay.
But Lotus Cobra
would be great if he had it.
Has, like I said, has a dream to live.
Every turn, Lotus Cobra wants to live the same dream.
Any card that has the word "add" in it is great in this cube.
Yeah.
So we have Mesmeric Fiend. Was going to take a look at David's hand of Progenitor Mimic, AC, Space Marine Devastator, and the Beholder.
Go ahead, Xanathar.
Yes.
Xanathar.
Xanathar Guild Kingpin.
Okay.
Yeah. So 3 6-mana spells and a 4-mana spell that could be a 6-mana spell.
As you do.
That's Dream Cube. So Daniel took the Hill Giant. Plus,
of course,
because it's only spell David might cast next turn. So now David is looking for a 4-mana spell, perhaps a Chromatic Ori, which is a 3-mana spell, but something just to play Magic the Gathering next turn.
We're actually in kind of a scary situation because if we don't have another land, this land is going to provide 4 mana this turn, but only 3 mana next turn.
David, however, found Nahiri the Harbinger, which is great because it can be a removal spell, but also can filter some of these 6 drops for 7 and 8 drops.
Yeah,
this is really what he's looking for right here.
I believe that's the mode I would be activating right now.
Mm-hmm.
We could be exiling that little bit of ramp.
We
that
could.
Daniel has, but I think I'm more worried about my own stuff.
Yep, with a hand, 3 cards totaling 18 mana value in the top right. We're kind of looking to maybe shed some of that.
David disagrees.
That obelisk no longer obelisk.
Gone.
It's gone.
Exiled.
David White's believing to harden the cards and going to look for mana ramp for his 3 6-mana spells.
I can respect it even if I disagree, and I do.
You respect it?
I respect it, but I disagree with it.
That's okay. You're allowed to disagree.
Yeah. And we're going to see how much that has hurt Daniel. And maybe David's got the soul read. Maybe there's going to be a missed land drop.
Maybe. Now, does David... No, the Lotus Cobra lives on. Here he goes to 1.
I believe things might have been different if... Oh, there was not an extra land, which is going to be critical because you could have attacked Nahiri with both of those.
Yes.
And then you would have forced a block on that Lotus Cobra potentially, or say lose the Nahiri. But I don't think I want to lose Nahiri with 18 mana, as you said, worth of stuff in my hand, and I have a 1/6 of that on the battlefield.
Correct. So Daniel, I think both players are playing this pretty well. David White sussed out that Daniel didn't have any more land drops, which made Daniel have to commit to playing Nisa and not taking the Nahiri off the board. So see, the Nisa got him a force. Now he's developing his mana, inching ever forward to that wonderful 7 mana, 7 lands to flip the Nisa into Planeswalker. That, yet again, makes threats or draws cards.
Yep. And again, Daniel really leaning on a lot of Planeswalkers. And if David is not able to meaningfully start putting stuff on the board, and Daniel lands even 1 Planeswalker, this could turn around quite quickly.
Yep, and we see that. So the great thing that I love about CubeCon, anytime a hand is revealed at all, everyone I've played against has said, "I'll play with them revealed for you." Yes. Like, we're not taking notes, we're not competitive REL.
Yeah, everybody's done that.
We're here to play Cube, have a good time. You know what? I'm gonna play down here. You can see everyone has done that unprompted. The environment's just wonderful here.
I've seen that too.
Yeah.
All right, so we pitched AC, picked up a secret card, and we're going to be casting.
Banishing Light here to get that Nisa off the board. Just let's not worry about that coming down later on.
Yeah, and I actually think that is more of a play to get rid of the 2-power attacker that's pressuring Nahiri because David did not pick up a land.
That's correct. So now with Nahiri's +2 of rummaging, he can tread water with the 2 opposing 1/1s.
Yeah.
So like Daniel Reeve either has to try to keep Nahiri down or use his mana to develop his board. Now he does have a Terra Sunder, which can flat out take care of that Nahiri once and for all. But I'm not. But then he won't be able to develop his own side.
No,
so
you will not be able to. It's tempting to do, because you kind of can look at Nahiri and say, this is the way that David has to get out of the mana issues that he's having.
But Daniel chooses to put Nahiri down to 1, and maybe he'll be able to cast a 3-mana spell to develop his board a little bit. Oh, I see. He's going to pass the turn and Terra Sunder that Nissa, that Oblivion Ring probably, to get his Nissa back, get a land, and then kill the Nahiri once and for all, most likely.
Yep. I think that is the play. Both the play that Daniel's going to do and probably the correct play here to continue to develop this board, as they've both missed land drops.
Yep. I mean, I'm sitting here in the cushy commentator's place with you, Justin. I'm not on the table in the feature draft, the last draft at the wonderful CubeCon Saturday.
No, neither am I. I've been over here in my little.
You've been here for a while.
My little canyon all day. I've been here
chambered,
all day.
The Parnellotron.
Yes.
Plus, Daniel's playing against one of the creators of the cube on camera. There's a lot of weight on his shoulders.
That's true. That is true. More weight for Daniel or more weight for David?
Just a lot of weight going around.
Yeah,
just like there's so much. Even though there's nothing on the line, like there's not a lot of. Okay, so David White is hard casting Fallen Shinobi,
and we have so basically one card was decided to have been kept with Nahiri, and that was Progenitor Mimic.
Well, it did so much work for him last game. It was so unfortunate that David White didn't have blue mana on his lands because he could have ninjutsu'd Lotus Cobra, but he had to get the blue from the landfall ability, which
can't carry it over into phase.
You cannot unless you have something like that in play.
It wouldn't have worked out.
Sure,
anyway.
But David doesn't know that.
He doesn't know that.
Doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So, Daniel Reeves has drawn and is considering his options. Now that Fallen Shinobi Daniel cannot let Fallen Shinobi connect. Just cannot. The risk is too high.
What is in Daniel's graveyard? Is it randomizing something from a graveyard?
Fallen Shinobi? No. Fallen Shinobi, when it hits you, does so much more powerful.
Hand?
No. Keep going.
Library?
Oh, you know it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, the command center itself, the archives, R&D, whatever you want to call it. When it hits you, you get the top 2 cards for free. You don't pay the mana. And in a cube where the average mana cost is 6 for every card, that ability scales up even more. But Daniel has the perfect blocker in the form of Cavalier
of
Thorns, and is a 5/6 with reach, secret reach, mind you. Watch out for that. They can keep Fallen Shinobi in bay. It looks like Daniel did find a land off of the aforementioned Rockfall Vale.
That's a pretty good follow-up to that, freeing that Nissa from the Banishing Light, which should be exiled, I believe.
That is true. The Oblivion Ring should be exiled, but we'll see if it comes to that.
Yeah, we'll see if it comes up.
Yep.
So both players kind of getting their feet under them. They've been jockeying back and forth to see who could come out of this mana screw.
Yep.
And who can do it first. And they're about even on either side. I would say that Daniel's at a slight advantage because David's is somewhat predicated on being able to play a land to jump up that Lotus Cobra.
Yep. I think if David finds a land with the Nahiri, he can play the Progenitor Mimic on the Cavalier of Gales and have... Well, that might actually kill him.
Getting the Cavalier of Thorns?
Yes, because you mill 5.
Oh, that's a lot of milling.
So we have Utter End. So yet again...
Saying, that's not in my plans.
I have my own Terra Sunder. Thank you very much.
And Fallen Shinobi, I
Comes
assume we're going to see
Daniel has to block that. So now that so Fallen Shinobi, some people call that an abyss creature. You just cannot let it hit you.
You exile the top 2 cards of their library. Until in turn you can play those cards. So just any of the cards.
Yeah, lands,
including
you got
lands.
Them. Lands, you got them.
That's a big deal.
8 mana planeswalkers, you got them. Maybe both.
Which is actually, those are the 2 things that Daniel's deck is mostly made of.
Correct.
Is
yes.
giant planeswalkers and lands. Yeah. So that's a bad news.
So Fallen Shinobi just cannot attack, cannot land and hit. So David White is ticking up. He thought about perhaps destroying exiling the Elvish Mystic, but Daniel's got 5 mana. What's 6?
Something I've noticed about Fallen Shinobi, its little arm piece that's connected to his arm is like really specific.
So climbing walls?
Well,
because he fell once. So now he wants to make sure he doesn't fall again.
It's
with that hook.
It's fallen. I'm not doing this again. That's how I became a zombie in the first place.
That's how he died. Like, he was a ninja. He's probably good at a lot of things, but falling, you know. Okay, so we've got Escape from the Wilds from Daniel Reed's.
Ooh, that's a big one.
I like Escape from the Wilds because it lets you play an additional land a turn.
Yeah, is that why?
And it draws 5 cards.
Formerly banned in Standard Escape from the Wilds.
Well, so red-green in this cube is basically large creature-oriented. But Escape from the Wilds is the lone, like, different card because I just can't play.
I love it.
I cannot play cube without this card.
I mean, rightfully so.
Yep. And with that Escape from the Wilds, it let Daniel play an extra land to flip his Nisa.
Surprise! Didn't see that one coming.
Yep. So now is Nisa going to make the World Awoken creature token? Nope. Or draw a card.
I think Ashaya is coming.
Ashaya, yes.
I think Ashaya is coming. We'll see. Ooh, we have
also,
another Planeswalker.
Domri has also shown up.
Oh, now, wouldn't it be convenient if we made Ashaya and then made that Ashaya maybe get to punch in with Fallen Shinobi? Yep. I would certainly do that. I would not want to risk a removal spell from David on his turn.
Yep. Looks like that's exactly what's going to happen.
And I think we all can agree.
Nisa ticks down to 1, and Domri ticks down to 1.
One of those creatures will be back, and it's going to be the Ashaya token, I would guess.
Is there, like, having multiple Planeswalkers on 1 and untapping with them is one of the best feelings in the world, I think.
Yes. I have survived. I've survived, and now I got to do my thing.
Yep. The number of times I've cast Jason Mind Sculptor, bounce, we're done bouncing. Yeah. It's time to brainstorm. Yeah. It's just...
So we're going to make a handful of these cards over and over again.
A Planeswalker on 1 is almost as good as a Planeswalker on whatever, as long as you have a 0 ability.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
David's drawn a Scrubland, which, you know, gets him to 6 mana, but there aren't a lot of creatures to copy the Prisoner Mimic, so instead he's going to opt for a Binding of the Old Gods.
This is going to be quite a turnaround if there's not a removal spell from Daniel, where you're not going to untap with any Planeswalkers with 1 loyalty as it currently stands.
Yeah,
and that is going to be the case. Binding of the Old Gods, proven to be the linchpin of this deck so far.
4 mana Destroy Target Permanent is basically... David's deck should be 4 mana Destroy Target Permanent Tribal. Yeah. He's got Binding, he's got Nahiri, he's got Utter End. That's his deck.
It's worked so far.
And it's working out great. So this is a good way to show that these removal spells are, some may say clunky. I just say that you let them breathe.
I don't think that they're clunky. I think they're versatile.
They are versatile.
Yeah, yep. I like versatile.
So the cards, I try to have the removal spells, the more expensive they are, the more versatile they are. The less mana they are, the more niche they are, but, you know, they cost less. So that's where you get your advantage from. So Nahiri's taking up closer to her ultimate. Next turn, David White will be able to get her to pass ultimate level and then be able to ultimate.
Now, what kind of dream are we living with David for that?
I mean, it has to be goals, right?
That was your first pick.
Yes.
Yeah, you're legally
required
indebted to
pick Golos. Yeah. But Daniel now is answering with Garrett Curse Huntsman.
Get out of here. I'm tired of this Lotus Cobra existing. Daniel's going to pick up a card for his troubles. And do you remember like 45 minutes ago when this Nahiri was at 1 loyalty?
I do, yes.
It's fought its way back
up to 6. Yep. So a strong showing for green-black cards that destroy things in this show off. Turns out when black's got terror and green's got naturalize, yeah, basically got everything covered.
Match made in heaven. Yeah. And we have a Bitter Blossom for Daniel. Late again, but might be able to act as a force field for this Garrick, as it's going to quickly make a lot of wolves.
Yes. However, Nahiri in her multitude of abilities can exile untapped enchantments, because you don't tap enchantments generally.
That's true.
So she can just say goodbye, Bitter Blossom. But you know, is that what David wants? Can he afford to not be rummaging with her?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think he is going to exile it, but I would be rummaging.
I'm not sure.
Okay, no, David's rummaging. I would agree.
It's just a 1/1, Justin. How much work can it do? How much could it do?
Yeah, I would absolutely be going upstairs with that.
So the classic pitch a blue-black card to a red-white planeswalker play was done. Now, Siphon Insights in the yard, so he still gets half value from it.
Now I know you've obviously spent a lot of time with David White here.
I have.
Is it common for him to use 2 different kinds of dice on a single planeswalker?
Yes, it's to keep them on their toes.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't be mixing them up with the Oreo, because as Michael Jackson said, it doesn't matter black or white.
Black or white. Mm-hmm. That's fair. maybe David just wanted his name represented slightly more, use the black dice a little bit. Maybe a little bit of some white on here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Having your name be one of the colors of Magic is just...
Let me tell you.
I will.
Maybe you're familiar with Stephen Green?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
Sam Black's here as well.
Yeah, gosh.
So we're working on him.
Yeah. All right, we have Bloom Tinder, which is really, really good at making 2 mana in Daniel's deck. It can make 3. There's actually a number of red cards. Minsc Boo.
Domri Anarch Bolus, which
Yeah.
is now in the graveyard, which is fitting for Domri since he's no longer with us.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they got my boy Dak too.
I'm still salty about that. So,
I mean,
very unceremonious.
Wouldn't you think the greatest thief of the multiverse would be able to like fake his own death pretty well?
I believe that that's the case.
Oh, yeah, well, it's a mystery. Daniel's deck is looking awfully thin right there.
It is.
There are not too many cards left in there. Where did all the cards go? I honestly don't know.
That's actually a good question.
I guess Cavalier of Thorns, as you reminded me, got 5 cards down there.
Yeah, it sure did. All right.
So, true to his name, Daniel has Jund Mana, a Birthing Pod in play, and Walker.
That's true. Are any of them going to be good enough?
Against a lone Nahiri the Harbinger and nothing else.
And nothing else. Now, we are starting to make wolves with this Garrick, and those are going to quickly start to overwhelm David if he's not able to take care of this Garrick. And of course, doing so on the ground with creatures that attack in a traditional sense, going to be tough because, again, making wolves 2 at a time with Garrick.
Yeah, Garrick doesn't make just 1 wolf, he makes 2. However, Siphon Insight does get rid of 2 cards for each cast.
Okay.
And that library with the braids on top of it is looking awfully thin.
Siphon Insight might be a good card to cast merely to get the braids off because one of these boards is a lot more susceptible to braids than the other one.
That is true. David might sack Nahiri, but probably just going to sack a land. But David's like, you know what? Let's undo that.
I don't even want this braids. I will just snap take this other card.
Yeah, Daniel does get to see the other card because we're revealing the Corsair, but like Magic is a really complicated game. Maybe he doesn't actually. No, he does not. Turns out David White is looking. So there's 4 cards left in Daniel's library right now.
8 cards.
Oh, the other one puts on the bottom, right?
Yeah, there's 8 cards left.
And we're here with Garrick Wildspeaker.
Okay. Hey, we have a little Garrick combo going
Garrick
on.
combo. Daniel might be able to engineer a position where he sacrifices a wolf to the birthing pod to add the 4th loyalty counter onto Garrick to immediately ultimate.
That sounds like a dream to me.
That is quite the dream.
Do you think David is aware of this possibility?
David's aware of everything.
Okay, that is fair.
He has knowledge of all interactions in his cube
at
all times.
This is the time.
This is the time.
It's go time.
Oh, we're untapping to 4.
No.
That's right. More wolves have appeared. That's right. The wolves might just do the job by themselves. I don't even know if it was lethal to begin with. I don't know if it was the right play.
Darby, it's not about being lethal, it's about living the dream, and that would have been a dream to live.
That would have been the dream to live. I agree. He could have at least taken out the Nahiri, who is threatening ultimate this turn.
I think the Nahiri's going to get kind of just jabbed down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Nahiri's gaining David a lot of life.
Okay, it has. Probably approximately the amount of life David currently has. Yeah, but we have a 6 damage hit for Nahiri, which seems
a lot for a planeswalker.
It seems a little weird because there's the abilities are +2 and -2, so not a whole lot of difference between 3 tokens and 7 tokens.
Not a lot. But what do you think David can do to get himself out of this? Dragon Lord Atarka, perhaps?
Dragon Lord Atarka won't get him out, and Braids has re-entered the battlefield by virtue of something.
I believe probably Birthing Pod sacrificing the Corsair Crucifix.
I forgot about the Corsair. Yes,
because we knew Braids was in the deck, the bottom card.
Not necessarily. That was up to David.
And with that's true. But with that Braids, David is, you know what? You finally done me in after all these years. So the interesting thing about CubeCon is we're running 3 cubes each day.
Yeah.
Which means 3 rounds of drafting, building, and 3 rounds of playing for each cube.
And 3 rounds of commentating.
I believe you're feeling that one the most out of anybody. So the rounds here are 45 minutes long, which is like, hey, that's not right, but we need to get things out. Like people are here at 8 a.m. bringing their cubes to share with the community. We have to get things going.
Yeah.
So the Live the Dream Cube does have a tendency to play a lot of Magic. That's the best part.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that you have enough time and you've adjusted for that in your playing.
You can play a lot of Magic, but it's also possible to play slightly too much Magic.
I don't know about that.
As far as the tournament rules are concerned.
Sure. But like we're casual rules enforcement level. The players seem to be aware of that. They are shuffling. Also, David is mulligan both games. Like, come on.
Maybe he needs to stop doing that.
I see some white bordered cards. I see at least two. So we know he has at least two lands.
I would say that probably that Underground Sea and Badlands.
Tropical Island. Go
Tropical
fish.
Island.
Add the Tropical Island. Little birds of paradise in the background, flying around.
Yeah, I don't even think he has a Badlands.
No, we talked about how he passed it and you wouldn't because you're amazing at Cube.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Daniel, I believe, is mulligan.
There's also a Scrubland, so it could have been Scrubland, but it's not.
It's not. I used my eyes. I looked at the camera.
Okay, that's the best way.
Well, Daniel is mulligan only to 6, which
it's fair.
I'm very glad of
They
that.
both mulligan the same amount of times in this matchup.
Here we have Overgrown Tomb, the People's Champion last match.
And what could be the best card in David's entire deck, which is Flooded Strand. And I'm not joking.
Lotus Cobra won't use Flooded Strand, but he will get his Zagoth Triumphs. Now David has access to Soul Time mana. Meanwhile, Daniel's just on Simple Gruel.
Yeah, just a simple Gruel mana.
Not Gruel?
Then die.
No. Well, I mean, I was hoping more Esper, but like it's okay.
Oh, not Gruel then Esper?
Yeah.
That is the opposite.
Correct. Thank you.
So, I don't know if you remembered.
Yes.
Daniel formerly was on the play this game.
That's correct. So David White now has access to all colors of mana except the one in his name, but has 4 mana leading into 5. Howard, the Curse Mirror, you know what? It got reclamation.
It was a little too cursed. But we know that Daniel does not have any more lands in his hand. That was it because he missed a land drop last turn.
Yes. David White did answer Lotus Cobra. Sticker Foundry, add a black mana.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Pass.
Always add black if you're not sure.
Yeah.
That's
maybe David adds white mana because it's kind of got this thing going for him.
I
like,
can understand that.
I add black.
I think it's wrong. Yeah.
Yep. Domri, Anarch, or Bolus makes the Reclamation Stage a 3-1 and then fights to the death with the 2-1.
And it will be to death, but Reclamation Stage has done its job.
Oh, remember Reclamation Stage was spoiled? It's a new era for Magic cards.
It really was.
Elves in Legacy has a new target. Like,
I mean, it's Reclamation Stage is still doing its job in 2022.
Instead of Slime, out of a job. Here, David White, yet again, 5 mana hard cast.
I like an acidic slime.
5 mana hard cast Fallen Shinobi. Daniel's yet again on watch. Daniel needs an answer to this Fallen Shinobi, or the Shinobi is going to be probably running away with the game.
You know what would be really good to block a Fallen Shinobi?
What?
Acidic slime.
Well, sure, but that's not in the cube because it can kill a crew with 5 mana.
That's fair.
So now Daniel has a 3-2 and a 2-1. So Daniel's added decision. If David doesn't remove, I believe David has Binding the Old Gods.
I'm a double block if I get the chance.
I think you have to double block. I will and happily do it. There are not tons of instant speed removal spells in this cube. Like maybe if you're playing the Combat Cube, another great cube featured here at CubeCon, you might be wary of tricks during combat. The Little Dream Cube is more about casting 4 mana removal spells, like Binding of the Old Gods. Mostly
Binding of the Old Gods, which is proven to be an absolutely critical component of David's deck.
Yep. So now David has the choice of, do I destroy a creature or Domri, and then do I attack Domri or you? But Daniel's like, doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, whatever. I'm blocking.
I'm keeping my stuff light because now Daniel can untap and cast a 3-power at least creature to trade with the Fallen Shinobi, and I would do that in a heartbeat. Or
perhaps ramp up to 6, play a large Planeswalker, and take care of Fallen Shinobi that way.
That is in Daniel's deck name. Jund Podwalkers.
We are Jund, and we have some walkers, and we're going upstairs, getting some mana, which is going to lead to
Mesmeric Fiend, which is revealing Chromatic Ori and an Utterin. Yet another, basically the Orja of Binding of the Old Gods.
I believe you're going to be upset no matter what you take. Unless you come up with another blocker for that Fallen Shinobi.
Yep, and he's one quick. And he's passing the turn right back, so...
And I'm trying to get a little peek of what could be in Daniel's hand. That looks like a Starve Extinction.
It is, and he does have that in his sideboard. So it looks like Daniel boarded in Star, which is really good against opposing Planeswalkers.
So very good against Daniel's deck.
Well, have you ever played Wrath of God with a creature in your deck?
I have.
Okay, well, there you go.
One time.
What? Did you have your creature in play and draw your Wrath of God and be like, I am a fool?
I did. No, I was not long ago talking about the how smart it is to often do that, especially in regular limited.
Yes.
To be able to play sweepers because they're pretty unexpected.
Yeah, I was taught a powerful lesson. Just in limited, play the Wrath of God. Just play it.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many ways they can save you out of the game. So Dan Reeves is here. Utter End has destroyed the Mesmeric Vein, exiled. So now Fallen Shinobi gets 2 triggers. Let's see what we get. We get two spells, not 2 lands, 2 spells. You flip. David's going to flip them. Here we go. We're flipping. 1. Primeval Titan. Good start. Let's go.
On the bottom of the library.
Let's go. Okay. And Meat Hook Massacre. We'll take it. Yeah. You don't get the X, but you still get the double. You still get the
which is going to be notable because those 2 creatures are going to get Star of Extinctions next turn.
Yes. So Primeval Titan. Look at that. We hit with a 5/4, and we got 8 mana out of it. How does it make you feel?
I feel like I'm living the dream.
That seems like a dream living. So Daniels need to have a really strong answer to these 2 creatures because they will win the game if left unchecked.
Oh, you absolutely have to just Starve Extinction now.
I think, yeah.
It is time.
Does Starve Extinction doesn't do enough damage to Primeval Titan to destroy it?
Barely.
We're almost there?
Yeah.
If only he had an ill-tempered loner.
I like slamming it onto the land, which is going to get that Zagat Triumph.
It's about sending a message, Justin.
It is. The message has been sent. Domri will not be
Domri's no longer with
alive.
Us. Which is fitting, it was foretold. Well, that was in Kaldheim, which was after Domri was dead. So he just is not aware of Kaldheim.
Okay. No foretelling for Domri.
Yeah. If only he would have known. So Starve Extinction is going to clean up some things. The damage is mostly done by David, though. The good news, however, is David's creatures will all have Death Touch this turn.
Yes,
which is the most crucial.
They always do.
Yeah, which is a crucial piece of information.
It's been critically important every single time that we've got to the 3rd chapter.
Yep. So Dan will lose some life in the Massacre. The Massacre lives on, and we're kind of at honestly an even board state right now.
Yeah. Because essentially we're gonna have 7 lands to 7 lands and a Meat Hook and Massacre on one side of the board, and that's it.
And that's it. David has a few more lands, and David's deck is more volatile. But if he doesn't draw a threat, Daniel can just untap and play a Planeswalker.
Well, we know the Chromatic Orrery is in David's hand.
Oh, yes.
We took a little peek-see, so that's going to come down.
That'll definitely come down.
And probably scoop up a Giganta.
It depends if David has another spell in his hand.
Let's find out.
And that spell is Nahiri the Harbinger has returned.
That's a good one.
He will +2, and he has no cards to discard, so he won't. Did you know the +2?
I don't think it's going to be on 5.
Did you know the +2 is a May?
Yes.
You don't have to discard a card if you don't want to.
You do have to put it at the correct loyalty, though.
That is true. But so now Daniel Reeves answers with yet again, poor Bitter Blossom on turn 8 or 9.
This is the latest collective Bitter Blossoms I've seen 3 games in a row.
Didn't have its coffee. It just really didn't wake up in time.
Yeah.
Like it had its heyday in 2009.
Grumpy.
Just turn 2. Turn 2.
Bitter Blossom has been living good since then. I don't think that card has been usurped.
Turn 2 Bitter Blossom shows up. Half of the job is just showing up. It did its job so well in so many years.
All it's going to do is just show up, be like, all right,
here I am.
Get
all
to
right.
work.
Yeah, get to work. Tribal. What a card type. Tarmogoyf came out. What is Tribal? No one knew. What is Tribal? Planeswalker? I know what those are. That's Urza. But Tribal? I have no idea. All right, Nahiri is rummaging away at planes.
Pitching the worst land in Magic.
Well, it's in David's name, so it's better than. You think Plains is better than Ristic Cave?
Yes.
Who are you?
No, I'm a liar.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's what I thought. So with his newfound spell, David White's going to play Llanowar Visionary.
Oh, that's a cantrip.
That's a fun fact. It adds mana and draws cards.
It's going to draw you an extra card because it's the first green permanent for Chromatic Orrery.
That's true. Llanowar Visionary, fun fact, is Llanowar Elves and Elvish Visionary stapled together.
Wow.
Thus you get the name Llanowar Visionary.
So that little dice there, it means our players are in turns, and this is the 2nd turn of the game. So David has this turn and exactly 1 more to finish it out.
Yes.
Now, it is possible that happens, but we're going to need to get in while we fit in, and that is not much longer to have.
Yep. So with that, there are 5 total extra. There are 6 extra total turns. David is 2. Daniel will go. David will go, and then Daniel will take the final turn. Now, David, fun fact: there are time walk spells in this cube.
You can steal a turn.
You can steal turns. Yeah. You can steal the pool of remaining turns with time walks, and that is an excellent way to begin the process. Deal 5 damage to that 1/1 Black Fairy Rogue creature token. And here comes Space Marine Devastator will come around and it will destroy an enchantment, Bitter Blossom. So David added 11 power to the field.
And we're going to gain a life.
And gain 1 life
yeah.
Massacre. That's very important.
And you know what else is going to be really important? Having this ability to attack for exactly David's life total next turn.
For Daniel's?
For Daniel's life total, yes.
So Daniel needs to put up no resistance to lose the game.
I think it's possible.
I put up no resistance all the time.
I've been doing it my whole Magic career.
Yeah. So we still have 5 mana from the Chromatic Orrery, and I wonder what David's got in store for that. Well, remember, Nahiri is an ultimate phase, so she can still downtick to bring a hasty creature into play.
Let's find out what it is, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yep, perhaps it's...
Did David uptick on this turn already? Because I made the joke about discarding a planes.
You did.
Was that this turn? It's been a long turn. There's been a lot been going on. But
we'll find out.
Yeah. We will, or maybe we won't. And let's see if I am right or not.
So some people talk about creatures that do abilities once per turn. And like, I can't remember. We've been doing Planeswalkers for 15 years.
Half of Magic's lifespan.
We've had Planeswalkers.
2007.
They've been doing once a turn the whole time.
Always have.
So yeah, we're gonna make sure Nahir was able to do that. Okay.
And we have
Yeah. Looks like the Plains was last turn.
Okay.
But Daniel just didn't have much of a turn. Look, he played a Stomping Ground Tap Pass. We've just been living so many dreams. It's been hard to remember that. And Nahiri brought out a Prisoner Mimic, which copied Dragonlord Atarka. Yep. They're legendary. However, this one has haste, so it can get in there for 8 immediately. And Daniel's answered with Liliana Dreadhorde General to make David sack 2 creatures. But you know what? That's not enough, and he extends the hand. David White's going to take out this first round of his own Live the Dream Cube in 3.
Amazing. Nahiri was another 4-mana card that did a significant amount of work this game.
Yep, Nahiri is the rare Boros card that's not all about attacking.
Now, I do believe that Progenitor Mimic should have been returned to David's hand at the end of turn.
That's true.
Which may have changed stuff a little bit.
Yeah, but I think even with that in play, I think David slide locked up because Danny would have been at 5. And he might have been able to finish that. But you know what? We're moving on to the next round.
We're moving on to the next round. And we'll call it as we see it. And that is David White, co-creator of the Live the Dream Cube, as your winner for this round. So we're going to take a quick break as we get set up for round 2, and we'll be back in just a minute.